Hello, Strat-O-Matic fans. Welcome to the 2016 Chicago Cubs Strat-O-Matic Replay Preview Show. In 2015, the Chicago Cubs went 97-65 to finish third in the NL Central, behind the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. In the 2015 postseason, the Cubs went on to beat the Pittsburgh Pirates in the National League wildcard game. They then took on division champions, the St. Louis Cardinals, and won 3-1 over the Cardinals in the National League Division Series, only to be swept by the New York Yankees in the National League Championship Series 4-0. In the postseason voting, the 2015 MVP went to Bryce Harper of the Washington Nationals. Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs would finish 4th, followed by Jake Arrieta 6th, and Chris Bryant would finish in 11th. Jake Arrieta would get the most votes for the NL Cy Young to be awarded his first ever Cy Young. Chris Bryant would go on to win the Rookie of the Year, as well as Joe Maddon winning the Manager of the Year. Some key signings over the offseason: the Cubs would sign John Lackey from the St. Louis Cardinals. They would sign Ben Zobrist, who spent time with Oakland and Kansas City in 2015. But the biggest acquisition of the offseason probably would be Jason Hayward, who was with the division rival St. Louis Cardinals. They also re-signed Trevor Cahill and Dexter Fowler. The biggest key losses of the 2015-2016 offseason: the Cubs traded Starlin Castro to New York for pitcher Adam Warren and a player to be named later. Player to be named later would be Brendan Ryan, who the Cubs would eventually release. Also released were Chris Denorfia, Dan Herron, Austin Jackson, Jason Mott, and Fernando Rodney. So let's go on to the opening day roster, starting with the pitchers. First up, Jake Arrieta, as mentioned before, finished the 2015 with the Cy Young Award. Arrieta went 22-6 with a 1.77 ERA, pitching 33 games for the Cubs with 4 complete games. Next is Jason Hammel, going 10-7 with a 3.74 ERA for the 2015 Cubs. Continuing in alphabetical order, Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks would go 8-7 with a 3.95 ERA and pitching 32 games for the Cubs. As mentioned before, John Lackey with the St. Louis Cardinals would go 13-10, finish with a 2.77 ERA with 175 strikeouts, and finish 9th in the National League Cy Young voting. Rounding out the opening day pitching staff, John Lester going 11-12 with a 3.34 ERA, starting 32 games for the Cubs. In the bullpen, Trevor Cahill finished 1-0 with the Cubs in 11 games pitched with a 2.12 ERA. Justin Grimm would have a 3-5 record with a 1.99 ERA, coming into 62 games in relief. Neil Ramirez would be 1-0 with a 3.21 ERA in 19 games. Clayton Richard went 4-2 with a 3.83 ERA in 23 games pitched with 3 starts for the Cubs. Closer Hector Rondon pitched to a 1.67 ERA, a 6-4 record, and closed down 30 games for the 2015 Cubs. Pedro Strop going 2-6, a 2.91 ERA in 76 games pitched with 3 saves. New acquisition in the offseason, Adam Warren from the New York Yankees. Travis Wood would go 5-4 with a 3.84 ERA, with 9 games started out of his 54 games pitched last year, 100 innings out of relief and in the starting rotation. That is the opening day pitchers. 13 pitchers will make the opening day roster, which leaves 12 position players. First up is reigning Rookie of the Year, Kris Bryant. Kris Bryant would play in 151 games, hit 26 home runs, and just shy of batting in 100 runs, with finishing with 99 RBIs, also stealing 13 bases. Dexter Fowler re-signed in the offseason, played in 156 games for the Cubs last year, 17 home runs, while batting .250, mostly out of the leadoff spot. New acquisition, Jason Hayward, signed from the St. Louis Cardinals, played in 154 games for St. Louis, batting .293, hitting 13 home runs, driving in 60 RBIs, and with 23 stolen bases. Also was awarded his third Gold Glove of the Year, primarily playing right field with a little bit of center field for the Cardinals. Tommy La Stella, utility infielder, played in 33 games, hitting .269 for the Cubs in 2015. Starting catcher, Miguel Montero, played in 113 games last year, 15 home runs, while batting .248, and batting in 53 runs. Anthony Rizzo, fourth in the MVP voting, had 31 home runs, 101 RBIs, 17 steals, while batting .278. Backup catcher David Ross played in 72 games for the Cubs, only hitting .176. Addison Russell will be this year's starting shortstop. Played mostly at second base last year, 142 games for the Cubs, 13 home runs, 54 RBIs, and a .242 batting average. Kyle Schwarber, utility player last year, playing catcher, infield, and outfield, played in 69 games for the Cubs, hit 16 home runs with 43 RBIs while batting .246. Jorge Soler, last year's right fielder for the Cubs, 101 games played, 10 home runs, 47 RBIs, and 121 strikeouts, though, 200 and a .262 batting average. Matt Scherzer, utility player, outfielder, played in 47 games last year while hitting a .222 clip. Also signed in the offseason from Kansas City and Oakland is Ben Zobrist, utility man, played 5 different positions for Oakland and Kansas City, 126 games, 13 home runs, and 56 RBIs. So that is the player preview. 13 pitchers made the opening day rosters, 12 position players. The first game will be played against the Los Angeles Angels with Mike Trout coming to town. This replay will be using basic side of Strat-O-Matic with some home rules mixed in. I will be using iScore Baseball as my stat book. As you can see, I have in my Strat corner the basic fielding chart and the basic, got a picture of all the teams there. A little bit of artwork in the back. So I hope you join me for the 2016 Chicago Cubs Strat-O-Matic Replay. Let's see you the next time on the diamond.